I'm about to get into the lesson 1 second. You ever watch somebody say to a child, and you live happily ever after? But no one ever says, what the fuck does that mean? And what do they have to do to get there? And how many people actually live happily ever after? You just automatically assume that. So you meet somebody you love and you go, we're going to live happily ever after. Taking no ownership of what the fuck that means. And I see the same thing with we say things like family and business and relationships and all this stuff, and we don't see the trade-offs. We don't realize the cost. We don't understand the level of responsibility. We don't understand the self-sacrificing. So I just want you guys to think about that, because pop culture is such a superficial, it's like TV talking to TV. A lot of substance is not there, no context, no thinking. A lot of times it's just going with the impulse and popular opinion. But a lot of us look at business, family, relationships, children through this very pop cultural lens. My last point is, there's a famous story where these two fish are swimming by each other, and one fish says, how's the water? And the other fish says, what is water? Many of us don't pay attention to the water we're swimming in. Some of us are born in certain groups of water that we don't realize that water is not clean, it's toxic. But you don't know it's toxic because it's been toxic for 20 years and you were born in the midst of it. You have to learn to see the water. You have to learn to question the water. Because a lot of your principles are just really popular assumptions. They're not thought or they're not processed. So we're going to start tonight. So real quick, just before we go to our first slide, please donate to Hope. We want to keep this going. We're working on a lot of changes for next year. We want to change kind of rhythms and paces, our rhythm and pace, and achieve some other goals. But make sure those of you are online or at home, or if you can, all donations to support this program. Me and Court don't really pay for this. We do this to reinvest and give it back to the community. All right, next slide, first slide. So the book before we want to get into is called Think Twice. Think Twice. I'm going to first start off by making a case that knowledge is not thinking. Reading is not thinking. Thinking is a process. Also, I'm going to make a case that, how many of you guys heard the famous phrase, knowledge is power? By itself? Okay, here's a case where you have to hold two opposites to be true. They're opposite ideas, but they're both true. Knowledge by itself is not power. Knowledge by itself is absolutely not power. Here's another philosophical, two separate things. Okay, let me ask you guys a question first. Have you ever seen those books? This is what you have to do to be an entrepreneur, or how to be rich, or how to be successful, or how to be a millionaire. You guys familiar with those books, right? I'm gonna share something with you that is you have to hold two separate truths together, but you have to think differently. Show you how thought works. Is it true that perseverance and hard work leads to success? Anybody want to speak up on that one? Yes or no? That's all you need is yes or no. Raise your hand for yeses. Okay, those say no, raise your hand. Okay. Is it true, watch this, that if you wear a white shirt and a nice suit, you'd be successful in business? But should you wear a nice suit and a white shirt if you're successful in business? See where I'm going with this? Because if you assume that hard work and perseverance is required for success, then that suggests that you cannot be successful without hard work and perseverance. Cold-blooded, huh? But so what I'm saying is that a lot of these books say you have to have this skill to be successful. Yes, but does the skill make you successful? No. But do you have to have a skill to be successful? Yes. You see where I'm going with this? This is important. This is thinking. This is different than knowledge. Knowledge will tell you hard work and perseverance will make you successful. Thinking says, not always. Depends. And that's not the only variable of success. But is it important? Yes. You see how this, if you're not practicing the art of thinking, you're almost living in a space of linear thinking, very simplistic. Also, you may, for example, be over leveraging certainty. Daniel Kahneman made a lot of money on writing books about how human beings respond to thinking in a space of uncertainty, how we fall victim to a lot of illusions, right? So this Thinking Twice book that we're about to dive into, I'm going to finish out the year with just one book. I'm going to take my time. I'm not rushing. I don't have no reason to rush this book because each chapter, each section is just full of thinking exercises and principles of thought that will allow us to capitalize and use our knowledge. Two, you're going to find out that no matter how knowledgeable you are, you still fall victim to thinking challenges. Otherwise, a magician would never work at a university, right? Meaning that a magician takes advantage of our thinking distortions. And a lot of us who go into business or go into leadership, we don't develop thinking skills. I think we talked about this last week, but thought is at the core, is one of our core skills of developing ourselves as entrepreneurs, yet thought has almost been engineered out of popular society because most people are too busy, they rush to conclusions, or they engage in entertainment that doesn't express thinking. Media doesn't express thinking. Matter of fact, many of us confuse entertainers with thinkers. So you see somebody on TV giving you their opinion, they're entertainers. Stephen A. Smith is an entertainer. He's not a thinker. But it's so many people will sit there. Jon Stewart is an entertainer. He's not necessarily a thinker. But quite often we will entertain ourselves with and say, oh, this person's a wonderful thing. Even in the stock market, a lot of these guys who talk about stocks and market, I'm going to prove to you within a few, maybe this class, maybe next class, a couple classes, that a lot of these guys who talk to you about stocks and bonds, they're entertainers, they're not thinkers. And once you learn to think, you're going to realize a lot of the stuff that's around you is entertaining you. They're not trying to help you think. Even in this class, we get the request all the time, can you entertain us more? Literally, can you entertain us? Are you not entertained? But the reality is that if I entertained you, even if I leave a little bit of truth in there, I'm not strengthening your ability to think. We have a lot of cultural challenges I'm going to highlight that stops us from thinking, that are anti-thinking, that are popular in our culture that we hear all the time. And tonight I'm going to attempt to challenge some of those. But I think for the next 6 months I'm going to challenge those. There's a lot. Now I'm going to be sensitive and I'm going to highlight how certain things served us but no longer serve us. But they've become a main staple in our culture to the point that we repeat these ideas over and over again at the expense of compromising our thinking. So, Shakina, you ready to jump into this?
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna warm up with the first two slides, and I'm gonna slightly slow you down, but this is gonna tap into the first thing we have to accept in order for us to work on this thinking exercise. So let's get started.
If you ask people to offer adjectives they associate with good decision makers, words like intelligent and smart are generally at the top of the list.
Now, I don't know about you. I've never not heard this. Every time anywhere you are in society, the most popular things people say is great decision makers are smart or intelligent, right? Some of you guys have been oppressed by people telling you that, you're not as smart as me, as intelligent as me, so obviously you can't make the same kind of decisions I can make. Am I correct? If there's anybody that can say, nah, I've heard different, please share with me what circle you come from, and maybe that religion we need to hear more about. But in the United States, what we often highlight as the best decision makers are, let's not make this a Jewish moment, but often where there's actually some truth there though for Jewish. But anyway, we often highlight highly intelligent people, smart people. Keep going.
But history contains plenty of examples of intelligent people who made poor decisions with horrific consequences as the result of cognitive mistakes.
So, the smarter you are, the worse your decisions can be. Let's just get it real simple. The smarter you are, the worse your bad decisions can be. Go ahead.
No one wakes up thinking, I am going to make bad decisions today. Well, no. Yet we all make them.
You understand? Wait a minute. This is not that kind of class. Let's go. This is. I'm about to make this bad decision. No. Hey, I caught it. I was like, oops, I didn't think about that one. Go ahead.
What is particularly surprising is some of the biggest mistakes are made by people who are, by objective standards, very intelligent. Smart people make big, dumb, and consequential mistakes.
So I have a brother right now. He's had the same lifestyle since he graduated from college. His vocabulary was smoke mines. He's read books I haven't had access to. This cat is smart as hell. He has not moved out the ghetto yet. He's 4 years older than me. He's so smart, he can articulate any of his desires and opinion to the point that those who sit across from him can't even challenge him. Even if the opinion and ideas are horribly dumb. He can make his depression seem like insight. He can make his poverty seem spiritual. Because he's so intelligent that he doesn't realize that his intelligence has weaponized itself to limit his growth. Let's go. Next slide.
Keith Stanovich, a psychologist at the University of Toronto, argues that the intelligence quotient IQ quotient tests we rely on to judge who is smart do not measure the essential raw materials for making quality decisions.
So historically, that's not how we chose college students, by the way. It wasn't by IQ test. This is something that's relatively new in public society. And it's already proven that just because somebody has a high IQ test doesn't mean they will perform well in society. It's important to know this, because as we get into this, I'm showing you that this thing that we've over leveraged as being intelligent is not necessarily complete. It's not devaluing intelligence. It's not devaluing knowledge. It's saying making knowledge and intelligence the superior tool by itself is flawed. Keep going.
Although most people would say that the ability to think rationally is a clear sign of superior intellect, he writes, standard IQ tests devote no section to rational thinking.
Did y'all know that? IQ test doesn't devote time to rational thinking. Do you realize that, in all fairness, it's hard for education to really focus on thinking? Thinking takes time, a lot of time, a lot of conversations, a lot of process, a lot of breaking. Now, there are some universities who are known for having leverage in the area of thinking, but thinking is a different tool, and once again, it takes a lot of time. Keep going.
Mental flexibility, introspection, and the ability to properly calibrate evidence are at the core of rational thinking and are largely absent on IQ tests.
Great, keep going.
Smart people make poor decisions because they have the same factory setting on their mental software as the rest of us. And that software isn't designed to cope with many of today's problems.
So let me what the author is getting at is that Our brain is victim to just natural human mistakes. We can't avoid them. We can't avoid them. And when you start thinking, what happens with some people that are pass many tests and do really well in school, they start to think that they don't share the same flaws as other human beings. We do. Whether you're highly educated or highly uneducated, we share some of the same distortions and flaws in thinking. How you think and knowledge are really two separate categories that you have to know how to engage. It's almost like saying, I'm going to eat healthy food, but I'm not going to lift weights. I'm not going to exercise. You may come down, or let's say you want to lift weights, but you want to run, but not lift weights, and wonder why you keep injuring yourself. It's this balance that I told somebody the other day. I said, if you sleep 8 hours a day, lower your stress, eat super healthy, go to the gym, cut out sugar in the daytime, but at nighttime eat cake and ice cream, 0 results. But some of us run around talk about how hard we work at the gym, how strong we are at the gym, and we're on track to die from a heart attack or diabetes, because we don't understand that this is an ecosystem of balance. And so we over leverage. The gym is parallel in my in the story to knowledge. You can work out really, really hard and be highly unsuccessful, and you're achieving a lot of goals in your life because you don't know how to think. And that's a big, 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 big difference.